Hey guys. Let me just put my hair up real quick. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I am starting the first of what will be the self-improvement series. So this series is going to focus on sort of improving my whole mental and physical health, not just my sort of physical health and weight loss like the diet diaries focused on last year. I guess that this video is going to focus mainly on my insecurities, which is sort of a weird thing to be talking about on the internet. I think it's sort of a weird thing to be talking about anywhere. I think that often we don't even sort of, be truly honest about our insecurities, even with ourselves. I think that it's a difficult thing to sort of look at them for what they are, I suppose. I was watching something on TikTok or Twitter, TikTok or Instagram the other day. I forget where it was, but basically someone was talking about, okay, so your goal is like to lose weight, and why do you want to lose weight? What change is that going to make in your life? And the other person in the video said, I'm going to be happier, I'm going to be XYZ, I'm going to feel better about myself, I'm going to be more confident, all of these things. And then the person responds back to her and goes, well, those things aren't physical changes. You doing exercise isn't going to be the thing that changes those things. Those are your perceptions of yourself. So you could change that right now today. And I think that that's quite an interesting way to look at insecurities, is often insecurities aren't actually a physical thing. And they're also often not things we can change. So really our only power over them is our perception of them. And so I guess that's why I wanted to make this video. As you know, my channel is mainly just a diary of me talking at myself and then thinking about those things, I suppose, and being able to look back on them in years to come. So I think that this will be quite a valuable thing to look back on. I guess I'm going to start the chat about the bit of the chat that's about me specifically, not just the general chat. But I'm going to start by talking about something that's coming up in my life that sort of brings about a lot of feelings of inadequacy. And that is going to El Rocío, which is it's like a pilgrimage in southern Spain, and you dress up in the trajes de flamenca and you wear like flamenco clothes. And for me, this was obviously a whole experience. I've never bought a flamenco dress before, obviously. I've had no need for one in my life. So I went to Spain, as you saw in my recent vlog, and I went and bought flamenco dresses. And it was like a sort of eye-opening experience because I didn't think that I would like myself in them. I didn't think they would look any good on me, to be honest, because they're very tight in a lot of places that I feel like I don't look the best in. So for example, my hips aren't, a picturesque models, but like hips that are perfectly curved, because I'm a human and my body is not like some sort of robotic conceptualization of what a human is meant to look like. Like my body is it's just a body. And I know that we talk about this a lot on social media in particular, about how you should like your body for what it is and how, body positivity and all of that. But I think that even if you see other people's bodies and they look like your bodies, that doesn't make you feel any better about your body. Like your body is just your body. And I think that it's like the feelings that you have about your body are very internal. And I do think that social media and the internet and everything else contributes a lot to these feelings. But I don't think they're new feelings. I think that his feelings have been around forever. people have always wanted to look different. And I don't think that social media is the cause of that per se. Maybe it's like an exacerbating factor, maybe that makes people feel worse, but that's not the thing that starts these bad feelings. Anyway, finishing that side quest, so I thought, these dresses aren't going to look very good on me because they're going to accentuate my hips, they're going to accentuate my stomach, and I've put a weight around my stomach, and I'm just going to look so ugly. And I know that that's not a logical thing to think, but insecurity is rarely logical, right? And so I went to the shop, I tried on all of these dresses, and I felt beautiful. And I didn't think that I would necessarily, because that's not something that regularly happens to me. And it's not like I'm not confident about my body, I guess. It's like I don't know how to describe it. It's like my body just is and it exists, and I don't necessarily look at myself and think I'm ugly, but I don't think I'm beautiful either. It's just there, like body neutrality almost. It's just an existent body and I'm in it. So yeah, I think that was quite interesting, and that was quite nice. And I think leading on from that, there are other insecurities I have. So in terms of women in Spain, I am much bigger than the average woman in Spain, both height-wise and width-wise. I am not built the same. I carry weight in different places, and that's a genetic thing, and that's also probably a lifestyle thing too. But that's not something that's going to change anytime soon. Even at my smallest, I wouldn't look like a Spanish woman because my body is a different shape. And I guess it's difficult for me to look at myself because in my mind sometimes I still see myself as, not when I was my smallest, but when I was smaller. I prefer myself when I'm smaller. Maybe that's a society thing. Maybe that's just a me thing. I don't know. But when I think about myself sometimes, I am smaller in my head, right? But I will never be as small as those Spanish women because I actually physically can't be. Because if you're a foot shorter than me, of course you're going to be smaller than me no matter what. Like, that's just the way things are. I guess sometimes though, I still compare myself to these women, thinking that I will be the same size as them, which is a silly thing for me to do, I think. As well as that, I am quite insecure about my inability to speak Spanish very well. I think that that's it's difficult being able to not do something that you really want to do, and that the only way to improve it is to do it all the time, realistically. Even if I properly studied Spanish, I will also never be able to speak it like a native person. And that's been sort of a journey coming to terms with that, because at first I was really embarrassed about ever speaking Spanish because I don't sound like I'm a Spanish speaker, I don't sound native. But in the end, I'm never going to sound native. I'm never going to lose my accent. I've lost my accent in English. Well, not lost it, but it's reduced. So, maybe after 25, 30 years, I have no accent, but I'm going to have an accent because I have an accent now. Even in English, I have an accent. It's not necessarily always Australian. It's somewhere in the middle, but I have an accent, and I will always have an accent in Spanish as well. And it's unlikely that accent will be a Spanish accent. It will be remarkable if it is, but it probably won't be. And that's difficult. Like, I feel very embarrassed. I feel very shy. I feel like people are constantly judging me. And especially when it comes to like people our age and people who I'm sort of around as friends rather than, like, I can go and speak to someone in a shop, fine, I don't mind. I can go and speak to someone, in other professional circumstances, and it's fine. It's mainly when it's people who are around our age and who I'm friends with that I get really embarrassed, which is so stupid. But I think that's also because I'm insecure about my personality in Spanish, because it doesn't exist, because I can't do any of the things I do in English. So yeah, I think that's something. I think as well, I'm insecure about my weight in a way. Like I said before, I don't like the way that my body has changed since putting on weight. And so there are certain things that I won't do because I don't feel comfortable in my body, and I guess that that's an insecurity in and of itself. As well as that, I think that I'm quite insecure about my skin sometimes, and that sounds silly, right? Because my skin is like, I don't get acne very often, like I don't have many problems. From what you can see on camera, my skin is fine. I get self-conscious about my under eyes here, like I have very deep under eyes, and I always have. This is not like some new thing, this is what my life has been like. Here on my face I have a mole. It's a blind, like a white mole. I asked to have surgery on it, and I was told that it would likely be a worse situation if I had surgery. I can have facial scars, so I didn't have surgery. But that's probably going to keep growing my whole life. I don't like that. And also I'm starting to get lines on my forehead here where these lines are. You can't see them now because the lighting's really good. Maybe if I go closer, you can see that I have wrinkles already. And I'm not even 23. I'm 22, and I'm starting to get major forehead wrinkles. Probably a combination of sun damage and also just strong forehead muscles. And that's something that I'm genuinely considering getting Botox for, which is a bit of a silly thing, but I'm like, I don't want to be 23 and have a huge amount of forehead wrinkles. Like, I'm 23. And I'm not talking about, like, aging is a normal thing, but I think that there's a point where aging becomes okay, and like for each individual person. And for me as an individual, like at 30, when I'm thinking about having kids, it's fine if my body starts to age, because it's a normal thing. Like at 22, I should be able to walk fine up the stairs and not have forehead wrinkles. Like, I don't think that's a huge thing to ask for. I guess it's all just interesting that sort of the things that I'm insecure about, some of them are things that can be changed, right? Like, for example, if I lose weight, I will be less insecure about my stomach, for example. Maybe I'd be less insecure about my hips, but my hips are always going to be my hips. So I can't actually change my hips unless I get surgery. And I'm not going to get surgery on my hips because I don't think they're great. Like, it's easier for me to change my mindset in that sense than to get surgery. In terms of speaking Spanish, I will learn Spanish. Will I ever be perfect at Spanish? No. So that, I have to come to terms with that as well. I think that, for example, my forehead lines or my mole on my face, the mole I will probably come to terms with, because that surgery is too drastic for me to accept. The forehead lines, well, maybe I take the risk of the Botox because I think that it's better than having forehead lines. But I guess that this conversation is just talking about, what I'm trying to say with this conversation is that we all have things that we're insecure about that other people wouldn't even notice. Other people would have no idea. And other people wouldn't see those things necessarily about me or you or anyone either. And we have two options. We can either do something drastic to change it, or we can learn to accept it and live with it. And I think that for most things, for most people, it's easier to learn to accept it and live with it. And I guess that this is the start, this series in a way is the start of that whole journey for me, accepting some insecurities and working on the ones that I can, because that's what's important to me. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this rambling, and I will see you in the next video.